We're just so thankful that each of you took some time out of your busy schedule to join in with us this morning. We're actually going to do a live recording today. But before we get started, we'd like to introduce everyone that's been actively involved with our panel. And I'll just ask that you please state your title and your region as I call your name. Ben Vandernet.
Hey everybody, my name is Ben. I'm the Talent Development Manager in Region 18, Career Source Suncoast.
Thanks, Ben. And we've got Rachel Paymer.
Hey everybody, I'm Rachel Paymer. I am the SNAP Welfare Transition Program Manager in Region 20, which is Career Source Research Coast.
Thanks, Rachel. And we've got Jessica Mishler.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jessica Mishler, a QA Specialist from Career Source Flagler Volusia, Region 11.
Awesome. And we've got Marvetta Gordon.
Good morning. I'm Marvetta Gordon. I am Program Manager for SNAP Employment and Training and Welfare Transition for Region 13 in Brevard County.
Thanks, Marvetta. And we've got Javetta Fleury.
Good morning. I'm Javetta Fleury. I am the Regional Program Director for the Welfare Transition and SNAP programs in Region 8, which is Jacksonville, Florida.
Awesome. Thank you. And we have Denise Miranda.
Good morning. My name is Denise Miranda, Career Coach, Region 18, Career Source Suncoast.
Thank you. And we have Myrna Serrano.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I am Mirna Serrano. I am the WTP SNAP Program Manager at Region 10, which is Citrus, Levy, and Marion counties.
And we have Regina Shedrick.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Regina, and I am from Region 18, Career Source Suncoast. And my current title is Programs Training and Support Coordinator. Good to see everybody today.
Nice to see you.
Thank you, Regina. And we have Torniqua Owens.
Good morning. My name is Torniqua Owens. I am Region 6. I am Career Development Specialist Level 4. I handle all programs from WIOA, WT, SNAP, RESEA, you name it, we do it.
Awesome. And we're about to wrap it up with Tammy Pumphrey.
Good morning. I'm a success coach in Career Source Chipola, which is Marietta, Florida.
Awesome. All right. And have I missed anyone that's present here with us today that's been actively involved with our panel? I would also like to mention Kathleen Danclair. She's also part of Jessica Mishler's region. She's not here with us today, but she has been actively involved, as well as Christine Sikora. And special shout out to Josh Matlock of Career Source Florida for bringing us all together for this awesome project. And finally, I'll introduce myself. I'm Teray Donaldson. I'm Program Manager with Welfare Transition and SNAP here in Region 1. Excited to get into our topic for today. And I'll go ahead and just introduce Rachel Paymer. She's going to get us started with today's topic.
Again, I'm Rachel Paymer, Welfare Transition SNAP Program Manager, Region 20, and I am ready for you, Ben.
All right.
So I'll be presenting the case notes section of our OSST Basics series. And then once I'm finished, I will hand it over to Teray, who is going to do the to-do section of this OSST Basics series. So next slide. So once you access a participant's record and the Case at a Glance screen opens, you'll see there are two places labeled case notes. So the one on the left of the screen, and there's one on the right of the screen. So the note icon on the top right is where you would type a case note. And the case note tab on the left is where you view historical case notes. Next slide. So to enter a case note, you'll select the note icon on the top right. The box will open, and then you just type your case note and select save. Pretty simple. Each region has their own requirements for how and what is entered in a case note, so please make sure you check your LOPs. And as you can also see, there is no section or place for a subject line. So often regions will use capital letters, they'll use the stars or asterisks to identify the subject of a case note. So, and also remember, unfortunately, case notes cannot be deleted or changed once they're saved. So you want to make sure that you double check, triple check your case note before saving it. So once you're finished with your case note, you select save/continue at the bottom, and it's a permanent record. Next slide. Okay, so to view the case note history or the historical case notes, you would select the case note tab on the left. Then here you see all of the case notes, both by OSST and by the case manager for the past 4 months. So to view a note, you select the date and the case note box will open. And you can also hover over the little white box, which is right next to the date, to preview the case note. Next slide. So you may have missed some information or you need to clarify something in your case note. So when that happens, you can add to a historical case note by selecting Add. Next slide. You type your case note, you select Save. Next slide. And then when you return to the case note history screen, you'll see a red plus next to the case note indicating there's an addition to the pre-existing case note. So that second box there is just a slide showing you what it looks like now. Next slide. So I'm going to really quick review the columns on the case note history. There is a legend at the bottom of the page showing what the various icons mean, but I'm going to go just quick one by one. The first column is obviously the date. That was the date the case note was entered. The next one I'll review is print. So if you ever want to just print the case note without clicking on it, without going into it, you just select the print icon. The type. So you'll see either a P or an S typically. So P is personal and S is for system, P meaning a case manager entered it. And then the S is something from OSST, something printed, a notice or whatever else it will show as a system generated case note. So the short note is just just the very beginning of the case notes. And you can see here why the subject line, adding a subject line is helpful because you can quickly drill into whatever case note that you're looking for. And then on the very right-hand column is the user, and so that's just the case manager who entered the case note, or if it was OSST, we'll just say OSST system. Next slide. So let's review the case note history again, but this time I'm going to look for case notes that are older than 4 months. So as you can see, we're currently viewing 6 case notes. So up in the right-hand corner, it says the record's 1 of 6. So on the very top of the screen, you can enter a specific date range within 1 year from today's date. You enter your dates and you select Submit. Next slide. So as you can see up in the right-hand corner, there are 14 records or case notes that you can look at now. And in the date range, I entered a period longer than 1 year, and I received an error notice, indicating the date range is only 1 year. However, I can view the archived case notes to see older ones. An archived case note is written in red and it's a hyperlink. So case notes are archived in OSST after 1 year. So next slide. And again, because I entered that period longer, it gave me the little oops. But you can also go to the very bottom, which is always there, and it says go to archived case notes. So you can always click that. That always shows on the archived case notes or the old case notes. So next slide. In this example, there were no notes found for the period of time that I requested. So to return to the previous screen, you just select return to current case notes, the red hyperlink, and you go right back to the case notes. Next slide. So in this example, there were 44 archived case notes. So you view the archived case notes exactly the same way you view current case notes. You click on the date or you hover over the little box, which is the left of the date. And that really concludes my presentation on case notes. Short and to the point. Are there any questions? I will hand this over to Ray to review to-dos.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rachel. We're going to move into the second half of this presentation, and we're going to talk a bit about the OSST case to-dos and alerts. So managing those case to-dos and alerts. Next slide. Some of the topics we'll cover in this portion of the presentation include the definition and purpose of the to-dos, how to navigate your to-dos, types of OSST to-dos, system versus the personal to-dos, sorting and management of to-dos, actions due on a client's case, creating personal to-dos, and how often should I review my to-dos. Next slide. So the definition and purpose. A case to do is an alert that's received in the OSST system, which notifies the staff member that an action or event has or needs to occur on a client's case. This also assists staff with managing cases, alerts staff of changes in the case that may be coming or have already occurred, and it's also a very effective time management tool. Next slide. So now we're going to talk about how to navigate to your to-dos. So as you can see, we're out on the OSST desktop, and over to the right-hand side of the screen, we have a red box that outlines the to-do list. This is where you can access the to-dos directly from the desktop by simply clicking there on unconfirmed items. Right, next slide. When we talk about the types of to-dos, there are 3 different types. The types include the OSST auto-generated to-dos and the DCF Florida system to-dos, as well as personal to-dos, which are set by staff. Next slide. The OSST auto-generated to-dos are the alerts that auto-generate by the OSST system when a client completes an online assessment or maybe an orientation. So these are the ones that the system auto-generates and sends to the staff. Next slide. Our DCF Florida system case to-dos are a bit different. So as you can see here, we have a screenshot from the DCF Florida system. These are the alerts received via interface with the DCF Florida system, which can occur as a result of DCF actions that are taken on a case, such as a case reopen, maybe it's a new case, or a client recertification, verification or loss of employment, loss of benefits or case closures, sanctions imposed or sanctions lifted, changes in exemption status, or maybe some other household changes, such as someone moving or leaving the household, etc. Again, these are the alerts that are generated via the interface with the DCF Florida system. Next slide. So here are some examples of Florida system case to-dos. So for training purposes today, we've included an example of what an employer info change alert would look like. That's the first example. Below that, you'll see a case closure alert example, a case reopen alert, a special alert, a transfer to alert, and a transfer from alert. And as you'll see, there is an indication on the right-hand side of the screenshot here that these alerts are generated via Florida. So you'll see Florida denoted next to the alerts that came directly from Florida or the DCF system. All right, next slide. Now let's talk a bit about the personal case to-dos. If you recall, these are the ones that are set by staff. So depending on your region or LOP, staff can manually create a reminder in OSST or personal to-do. And these could be to follow up on next actions due on a client's case, or follow up on any pending items, or maybe even next scheduled appointment. So for the examples here, we have 2. There's an activities and training personal alert and a JPR alert. These were set by staff to remind them to take some action, either related to the activities and training, maybe starting or stopping an activity, and related to the JPRs, maybe a reminder to follow up entering the hours. Next slide. Now let's talk about how to access the case to-dos. So there are 2 methods of accessing case to-dos in OSST. You can do so from the desktop or directly from a client's case. And I mentioned a moment ago how to access it from the desktop, but we're going to get into that a little bit more in the next slide. Next slide. All right, so again, here is our desktop method. We covered that a few slides ago, but just wanted to reiterate that from the OSST or OSST desktop, right there under to-dos on the right-hand side of the screen, you're able to click on the unconfirmed items, and we have that indicated with red arrow and red circle, and that is where you will find your list of to-dos for the day. So usually it has a number there instead of 0. So whatever the number of alerts that came through for the day would be indicated there with unconfirmed items. And that's where you would click again to see the full list of alerts. Next slide. Now, the other method is the client method. So you can access a client's record in OSTI and click on Case To-Dos on the left navigation toolbar. So this is from within a client's case. You're able to click on Case To-Dos. As you see, we have it indicated with the red arrow and circle, and that will take you directly to the alerts within that particular client's case. All right, next slide. Now, when you click Case To-Dos, you will be automatically taken to the unconfirmed Case To-Dos in a client's case. So this is for this particular individual. So it brings you to a screen that looks similar to our screenshot here. In this example, there are no unconfirmed To-Dos. Next slide. However, in this particular screenshot, or this example, there are some unconfirmed to-dos. As you can see, there's a special alert that's highlighted in yellow and a case closure that's highlighted in yellow. You may click on the blue hyperlink under comment to see the to-do details. The detail will populate at the bottom of this screen where you see add a task, and we have that indicated with the red arrow and circle. So if you click the box to the left of the to-do, it will take you to the client's case at a glance screen. Next slide. Here's an example of where to find the historical case to-dos in a client's case. You may need to adjust the date range at the top of the screen to find the alerts you're searching for. So you'll see that we have that section indicated with the red arrow and circle. That's where you can toggle between the dates that you set to query a particular date or time frame to find your alerts. One of the benefits of using this screen is to review at a glance when an action was taken, especially for monitoring and quality assurance purposes. So again, this section allows you to review the historical case to-dos or alerts. Next slide. Now let's talk about sorting your to-dos. So you have the ability to sort case to-dos by client, by type, by post date, by start date, and by end date. However, these can only be sorted by accessing the to-dos from the OSTI desktop. So you'll see we have a red arrow and circle here to show exactly where you can access the drop-down menu to select how you would like to sort. So again, that's for you to sort your alerts by client, type, post date, start date, or end date. Next slide. What should I do next? Sort your client's case to-dos by the preferred method of type. We highly recommend that you sort your alerts by type. The DCF Florida to-dos should be worked first. And then once you do that, you can research the case in OSTI and or the DCF Florida system to identify any next actions that are needed. Then complete all tasks due on the client's case. And that may include things such as documentation, data entry, case notes, sanction requests, or even case closures. And finally, you can set an optional to-do, for example, for next appointment or activity update due, etc. And this is depending on your region and LOP. Next slide. Depending on your region and LOP, the system allows staff the option to set a new case to do if the client's case will remain open. Next slide. Here is a screenshot that shows us how to access a client's record in OSTI. And to do so, we can click on Case To-Dos on the left navigation toolbar. So this is how to set those personal to-dos. We have it indicated with the red arrow and circle. So again, once you're in an individual case, you can click on the Case To-Dos on the left. And we're going to get into how to set that personal to-do. Next slide. So here you can choose what type of personal to-do you want to display. So there's a red arrow and circle to indicate the drop-down menu. And in the drop-down menu indicated, this is where you can select whichever type of alert you're trying to set. For our example, we're going to use activities and training. However, as you can see, there's a very detailed list of options. All right, next slide. And once you've done that, you can enter the date you want the to-do to generate and the next action due. So here in our example, you'll see 2 red arrows. We've indicated already that the personal to-do or alert is for activities and training. The first arrow shows where you can enter the date that you want that alert to generate. And the second arrow indicates the comment section where you can specify any details you'd like to enter about that alert. And once you've completed that info, simply click Save, and you set your personal to-do. Next slide. When should I review case to-dos? So our panel highly recommends that you review your case to-dos daily, and we also recommend that it be the first task at the start of your day. And reason being, the information that we receive via alerts updates us on what's going on with the case in real time. And it's information that could potentially chart the course for our day. So we want to be able to take actions in a timely fashion. And we also want to be able to disseminate correct information as we're speaking with our customers. Next slide. Some other tips and best practices from our panel. So one way to track to-dos is to set alerts or use Outlook reminders. And again, this is depending on region or LOP. We recommend that you do not confirm alerts until all actions have been completed. And the reason for this, if the alert is confirmed before the actions are completed, it cannot be recovered on the OSTI desktop. And staff would need to know the client's name or case number in order to recover the to-do or alert from the client's case under historical case to-dos. So again, we just highly recommend that you do not confirm your alerts until all actions have been completed to avoid any mishaps. Next slide. This actually wraps up my portion of today's presentation. Of course, there's much more that can be said about case to-dos and alerts, as I'm sure you've already figured that out at this point. But please note there will be a spin-off presentation on case to-dos coming soon, which will cover in more detail the most common to-do types and how to work them. So we hope today's presentation was helpful to you. Maybe something that's a takeaway you can put in your toolkit. All right, are there any questions from anyone that's here with us today, either for Rachel or myself? If not, we thank you all for your time, for being here with us and joining us for today's presentation.